Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to live coverage here on eKartingNews.com. This trackside live broadcast brought to you by BBR Karting, and we are set to go with the main events for Sunday's round of the Challenge of the Americas here in Phoenix, Arizona. Masters Max drivers on the grid and getting set to go. John Crow on the pole. Last lap pass to win the pre-main. Big, important race right now for Crow. He needs a victory here over Paul Bonilla to keep himself in the championship chase. They start alongside each other on row 1. Scott Falcone and Ken Maxfield will be row 2. Chad Wallace and John Breidinger, row number 3. Underway. One driver sliding off the racetrack, heading into one. Another driver off of the exit of the turn number 10 as well. Crow with the lead, though. Bonilla slides into second. Falcone third. Wallace fourth. Maxfield in the 5th spot. Breidinger goes to 6th. Patterson up to 7th. Ahead of Weaver and Newton. Perry Needham, the driver who went off on the exit of turn 10. And there was Jason Stempler spinning going into turn number 1 at the start. 25 lap here for Masters Max as we get things underway. Cambrian Go-Kart's the sponsor of this category. Underway down the back chute for the first time, probably about 0.3 of a second separating first to second and second to third. They've got a little gap back to Maxfield, who's been able to slip by Chad Wallace. So Ken Maxfield been trying to stay with this lead group all weekend, but it's just been about a 1/10 or 0.2 off. Stays with them early, then falls back. So John Crow needs to step it up here in this one. Paul Bonilla has won the last 3 races, 3 straight events. The only max point scores he has not got was a pole position, qualifying pole in round 1 in Tucson. And then yesterday, Crow got him in both qualifying and the pre-main. However, not able to get him in the main event, ends up in the 2nd spot. Bonilla with the fast lap of the race, getting a 5-lap bonus yesterday as well. 26 points the gap here right now. Remember, 1 drop as well. Crow needs to pull even with Bonilla with a victory here today. And right now leading as we just get things underway. Crow with about maybe a 0.4 of a second advantage now as they work their way through 8 and down the back straightaway. Back through 10 and 11. We'll get the gap as they come through here. This will be lap number 3. A long way to go in this one. Just got to settle in. Bonilla with the fast lap, 48.009. 0.4 of a second, the advantage for Crow. Falcone in 3rd. Maxfield 4th. Chad Wallace 5th. Breidinger in 6th spot. Patterson 7th. Matt Newton 8th. James Weaver 9th. Perry Needham and Jason Stempler 10th and 11th. Bonilla already closing up on Crow. Maybe 4 lengths as they work their way down the back straightaway. They have been dialing on both of these cars all weekend long to try to get the best setup possible. Crow had said he probably would have benefited by 1 more practice day just to dial things in. It's been a constant focus on trying to get that car the way he wants it for a 25-lapper. Bonilla quicker by about a 1/10 of a second, over a 1/10 of a second actually. Closes it up to within 0.3. 47.916. Bonilla resets fast lap. Falcone falling back about 0.6 of a second. Falcone trying to just close back up a little, reel those leaders back in. They get a chance to dice, he'd like to be there. In fact, he turned a lap a little bit quicker than Bonilla. last time by, only 6/10 back. 47.963. Crow quicker. We saw this in the pre-main as well, back and forth. One lap it's Crow, one lap it's Bonilla. .25-lap main events for Masters, Junior, Senior, and DD2. It's a long battle. You got to settle in for this race. Leaders settling in for the long run here. It's all about seeing how the car's going to handle early. 47.9 for Crow, 48 flat for Bonilla. 48.1 for Falcone, 48.3 for Maxfield, 48.8 for Wallace, 48.7 for Patterson, 48.6 for Breidinger. Solid fight here for fifth position. Chris Patterson, Chad Wallace, and John Breidinger in the fight for the final spot in the top five. Patterson currently fifth in the points as well. Just 13 points ahead of Needham and a further 15 ahead of John Breidinger. Crow resets fast lap, 47.879. 47.879 for John Crow. 0.6 of a second now the advantage. Said it a couple times throughout the broadcast here this weekend, how this event in Phoenix really is a turning point for a driver like Bonilla, who has won 2 races coming in, swept the weekend in Tucson. You get a couple of victories here, you've all but sealed the championship. Yesterday a victory for him, so he's already taken that other step. For Crow, on the other hand, this is a weekend where he's got to step up. He's got to try to match the performance of his primary challenger. If he wants to win this title, he's got to go after the leader. And he's doing so right now today, trying to get that perfect day. Qualified on pole, 5 points. Won the pre-final, 10 points. Now he needs to win this main event with a fast lap. He has that right now, 47.879, and he's leading by almost a second. And pulling away 0.3 of a second a lap from Bonilla. Falcone actually quicker than Bonilla as well. That would be huge for Crow if Falcone could close up to Bonilla and battle with him. Best fight on the racetrack remains this battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Patterson now in the 5th spot. 6th is Wallace. 7th is Breidinger. Crow now leading by 1.2 seconds. Falcone quicker than Bonilla by a tenth. He's down to 0.3 back. Top three drivers so evenly matched here on time, separated by just over a tenth here on the 13th lap. See what we have the gap here now. 1.2 last time by, 1.147. Bonilla turns his best lap of the race, 47.839. Gains about 0.05 of a second on Crow as he's trying to slowly close back in. Just at the halfway point now. 13 down, 12 to go. Again, you think about chassis setup for a long race like this. Did Bonilla maybe go a little lower on the tire pressure to try to hold on to see if he can't come on late in the race? Virtually identical times now for Crow and Bonilla, 47.9s. 48.2 for Falcone. He's fell off a little bit. The thought of having Falcone act as a little bit of a distraction for Bonilla has gone by the wayside as Falcone having trouble matching the pace of the leaders. Patterson, Wallace, and Breidinger still 5th, 6th, and 7th. Matt Newton in 8th, Perry Needham in 9th, James Weaver 10th. Jason Stempler has headed to pit lane. Back to the scales. Gap still about 1.2 seconds. John Crow laying out some really solid laps here in the second half of this race. 9 laps remaining for Crow. Crow, Bonilla, Falcone, Maxfield, and Patterson now top 5. John Crow back down to a 47.989. 8 laps remaining. 1.3 seconds the advantage now. This would be an absolutely huge victory for John Crow. He's looking to try to challenge Paul Bonilla for this championship. He'd still have to go into Sonoma and almost sweep Sonoma to get the job done. But a perfect weekend would match what Bonilla did in round number 2. Perfect day, rather. 5-10. Actually, more points up for grabs still. 120 points, the full total. Right now, Crow, with the fast lap of the race, could get that 120-point total. It is so important. Let's have a look at the gap this time by. It'll be 6 laps remaining. 58-1, 58-0, 1.193. It's been right around that 1.1, 1.2 second gap for the last about 6 or 7 laps. Falcone doing whatever he can to stay with them. It really just doesn't have it right now. He's off by about a tenth. 48.265 for Falcone. He's dropped to 1.2 seconds back himself. Of course, he has a big gap on Ken Maxfield, who is comfortable in 4th. Patterson about a second ahead of Wallace, now in 5th spot. It's all about just knocking out laps now. Hitting the apex, hitting that entry, exit, getting on it, on the throttle early. 47.9s for both Crow and Bonilla. Scott Falcone still 3rd in the points, but with a 3rd place here, he would have to go into Sonoma and sweep the weekend to have any kind of shot at the championship. Four laps now left for Crow. 48-0, 48-0. Crow quick, or actually Bonilla quicker by 6 thousandths of a second on that lap. So evenly matched, these two drivers. Five-point bonus up for grabs still for fast lap of the race. That's Crow right now, 47.830. He wins with that. That's 120 points, something Bonilla has not yet done this year. 110 points in the opening round of the event, the series rather. Did not score the pole and did not get the fast lap of the race in the main event. Pole, pre-main, and win in round number 2 in Tucson, but was not fast lap. That belonged to Crow. And just yesterday, didn't get fast lap, finished 3rd in the pre-main, but won the final with the fastest lap for 113 points. So the door has been left open, even though he now has, if it all shakes out where we stand right now, 3 wins and a second-place finish. It's all going to go firmly on the shoulders of John Crow when we go to Sonoma. He's going to have to win if he wants to steal this title away from Paul Bonilla. But you had to win here first. And a 2 to go sign coming right now for Crow with the number 631. 48-1, 48-2, 48-4. Those are your lap times, the top 3. Here comes the white flag. One to go for Crow. 48 flat, 47.9. Bonilla down back into the 47s. He needs another almost just over a tenth to steal away that fast time. That could be big in the championship. Bonilla is not close enough to do anything in terms of winning this race, but can he steal away the pole? Or the fast lap bonus, rather. 47.944 last time by. Another little over a tenth would steal that. Down the back straightaway, though. Let's have a look at the leader here right now because he knew what he had to do today. Qualifies on the pole. Wins the pre-main. And coming through here right now to score the victory in Masters Max, brought to you by Cambrian Go-Karts, the winner today on Sunday, John Crow. Bonilla not able to get the fast lap. So a perfect day for John Crow. 5, 10, 105. 120 points. 120 points for Crow. As I said, not something that Bonilla's done yet this year. He's got 110, 115, and 113. That could play into the hands of Crow and giving him a little more leeway going to Sonoma. But let's just put it this way. We have two drivers now in the fight for the Masters Max Championship and the ticket to the Grand Finals for Team USA. And Sonoma is going to be awesome in Masters. Paul Bonilla versus John Crow in wine country in the middle of March. That is going to be a great race for a title here in this year's Challenge of the Americas. John Crow, folks, your winner in Masters Max over Paul Bonilla and Scott Falcone. Great race there for the Masters drivers. We are underway with the main events. PSL West Mini Max. Next up, those drivers on the grid, and we'll have that live coverage for you here on eKartingNews.com.